it comes to appeal, what does it mean by appeal? You will come across two important terminologies, which is first appeal, secondly would be revision. Yeah? It's appeal and revision. Yeah? It's actually sound different. It's also serve with different purposes as well, and it is not the same, right? So when it comes to appeal, I think you have learned about the basic jurisdiction of appellate jurisdiction of the court, in which the High Court, High Court have appellate jurisdiction. The Court of Appeal also have, of course, Court of Appeal by the names, you can see that it is appellate jurisdiction, court that specifically deal with appeal, and also Federal Court. Federal Court also deal with appellate jurisdiction. So when it comes to the appeal, you need to know the basic differences between appeal and revision. The most important part is what is appeal, what is revision. When it comes to appeal, court examine the evidence and comes to an independent finding on each issue of the fact. But if revision, it is something which seems to see that the higher court or the apex court will look into the errors of law or any errors of procedures, and the revision is in relation to miscarriage of justice. So appeal is something which appeal is more towards the finding of facts. And revision is something which they are looking into the correctness of procedures by the first instance court. What do they have? Appeal also, actually the appellant has the conduct of the proceeding, but for revision, the court has the conduct of the proceeding. So meaning that for appeal, it is the appellant will file an appeal, and it is the appellant who will have the conduct of the proceeding, compared to the revision in which the court has the conduct of the proceeding. What else? Number 3, if you can see, appellant is entitled to demand for adjudication upon all question of facts and law rise in the appeal. Whereas for revision, a revision application shall not be regarded as some sort of second appeal on the question of law. And the main question which the High Court has to consider is whether substantial justice has been done and whether it should interfere in the interest of justice. Okay, so there will be a time limit for appellant to lodge an appeal, and for revision there will be no time, no time limitation. We are going to see, and we are going to discuss about the limitation or time frame of the appeal based on this particular procedures. And you can see that the appeal can be referred to under section 307 of the CPC, but for revision, no particular procedure and can be applied by way of letter, application, etc. For revision, right? So you need to know that the most important part, there are some circumstances justifying interference of the sentence, because not all cases and not all circumstances will justify the appellate court to interfere with the sentence passed by the court below, and this principle is followed by the appellate court. Again, you need to remember, in terms of sentencing, we learn about it. We learn about sentencing. Sentencing is all about the discretion of the court, and it is upon the court who will make decision, right? So when it comes to the court who make the decision, so the issue would be whether that particular decision should be reviewed, or whether that particular decision should be checked upon by the apex court, right? Because you need to know that each judges have their own way of have their own way in arriving into the decision, because again, sentencing is their discretion. And you can see there are a few cases that discuss about this particular situation. For example, in the case of PP versus Muhammad Noor, in which the Supreme Court say that the established principle that an appellate court should be slow to interfere or to disturb with a sentence passed by the court below, unless it is manifestly wrong in the sense of being illegal or of being unsuitable to the proof, facts, and circumstances. Okay, if you have any highlighter, please highlight that. Please highlight, meaning that the appellate court should be slow to interfere and to disturb, because it is something which is a disturbance, and it is something which is considered to be an interference of the decision of the lower court, right? Unless it is manifestly wrong in the sense of being illegal or being unsuitable to the proof, facts, and circumstances. So this is something that you need to know in the case of PP versus Muhammad Noor. So we have other cases which, for example, in the case of Bandulananda Jayalatike versus PP, in this particular case, you come across this case before. It is regarding the accused plead guilty of giving false evidence on a murder trial, an offence punishable under Section 194, which carried a maximum sentence of 20 years and a fine, and the trial judge imposed a sentence of 10 years imprisonment. So he actually appealed against the sentence. Okay, appealed against the sentence and was dismissed by the federal court. When the federal court mentioned that the most important part, the court actually will assess whether the sentence are harsh and manifestly excessive. Okay, and the court should paraphrase it in this way, meaning that as appeal against exercise by the learned judge of discretion vested in him is the sentence so far outside the normal discretionary limits as to enable this court to say that its imposition must involve an error of law. Okay, so the court will look into this is the second principle by Raja Azlan Shah, the former Sultan of Perak. At that time, he was the Lord President, Chief Justice of Federal Court. So he mentioned that the yardstick, whether the court, because he mentioned that sentencing is a discretionary power, and by looking into how to look into this particular situation when it comes to appeal, the appellate court will look into whether the sentence is harsh or manifestly excessive. Okay, harsh and manifestly excessive, yeah. And whether the sentence so far outside the normal discretionary limits as to enable this court to say that there will be an error of law of some discretion. Okay, so this is something that you need to look as well, and please look into, please read into the judgment of the court. I think it's very interesting to note that the appellate court will only interfere with the sentence passed by the lower court if the trial judge, meaning that the first instance court judge of the court has proceeded on the wrong principle, for example, okay, or has manifestly used his discretion excessively in regarding the matter, right? So there are some what they call it principle and argument by the court, right? So that is the important part, because why you need to see that in the case of Bandulananda Jayatilike, the court also mentioned that the court are the guardian of the public interest. Okay, the court are the guardian of the public interest, meaning that for a discretionary judgment of this kind to be reversed by the appellate court, it must be shown to the satisfaction of the appellate court that the learned judge was embarking on some unauthorized or extraneous or irrelevant exercise of discretion. Okay, so this is very important for you to highlight as well at page of 645, right? And another another principle that the court will interfere, in which if the principle of justice has been infringed in such circumstances as to occasion a substantial miscarriage of justice, therefore the appellate court is justified to interfere with the sentence so passed by the judge at the lower court. This can be seen from the case of Ramli bin Kecil, which is also a very important case, in which at all time, the lawyer will rely into this particular case, as the Supreme Court actually held that before the court will interfere, it must be shown that essential principle of justice has been infringed in such circumstances as to occasion a substantial miscarriage of justice. Okay, and the court need not interfere if it consider that no substantial miscarriage of justice has occurred, although the issue raised in the appeal might be decided in the appellant's favor. Okay, so this is very important. It doesn't matter whether appellant will will succeed or not, yeah, in his appeal, the most important part, the court will not interfere, okay, if there is no substantial miscarriage of justice, okay. And you can see in the case of PP versus Syahri bin Muhammad Sharif, in which Judge La Hock Bing mentioned that there are a few questions of sentence, in which the appellate court will not interfere, unless, for example, the trial judge has proceeded on the wrong principle, or there is manifest error either in law or in considering the facts and circumstances, omission to consider such facts and circumstances, as essential principle of justice has been infringed in such circumstances, okay. And there are actually quite number of cases mentioned for each point, all right, okay. As I mentioned to you that the appeal to the appeal may take process, may have its own process. For example, if let's say that the matter actually originated from the subordinate court, so you need to know and you need to remember that when it comes to the magistrate court, you need to apply the appeal to high court. Same goes when it originated from the session court. Okay, so you need to you need to proceed the matter to the high court as well, because session court do not have any appellate jurisdiction. Okay, so appeal to the high court, you can see under section 26 of the Court of Judicature Act, in which you need to see that the requirement in the appeal in terms of the in terms of the provision of law, right? In which the requirement in appeal you need to know that first and foremost, no appeal shall lie to the High Court from final judgment, sentence, or order for any offence punishable with only fine not exceeding 25 ringgit. And you need to refer to section 172D, right? Because this is amendment of the CPC which has been provided in section 172E and 172D, meaning that when accused has pleaded guilty and convicted by the court, there shall be no appeal except to the extent and legality of the sentence, meaning that the appeal is only limited towards the extent and legality of the sentence, not towards the guilty and the conviction. Okay, this is something that you need to remember. The appeal must be on the extent and legality of the sentence, not on the conviction. Okay, there are two different things. What does it mean? In terms of conviction, meaning that the appellate court tidak boleh melihat berkaitan dengan, oh macam mana ya court tu boleh tahu ada prima facie ataupun beyond reasonable doubt. No, that is not the function of the appellate court. You must remember this. Okay, the function of the appellate court under section 172E and 172D is only to the extent and legality of the sentence. Sama ada penghukuman tersebut, adakah ia sesuatu yang legal ataupun valid ataupun too excessive or not. Okay, this is something that you need to remember. Okay, section 172D provide for the disposal of the case in the plea bargaining process. Then lihat juga berkaitan section 305. CPC provide that when accused has pleaded guilty and convicted by magistrate or session court, there shall be no appeal except as to the extent and legality of the sentence. You need to see this section 172E adalah kalau accused plead guilty. Sama juga dengan section 305 of the CPC. Okay, kalau misal kata you boleh selok lah sekejap ya, section berkaitan tu ya, 172E tu berkaitan dengan apa ya? Ingat lagi tak?
Finality of the judgment.
Finality of the judgment. Finality of the judgment. Okay. Finality of the judgment. Right. Okay. Finality of the judgment. Okay. So meaning that dalam kes ini kalau misal kata accused plead guilty pada masa pre-trial process. Okay. You kena bezakan kalau tak kata apa Sal pula lebih kurang sama kan 172E dengan 305. Tak sama. 172E adalah jika dalam proses pre-trial accused plead guilty. Okay. Dan kalau misal kata section 305 pula, section 305 adalah kalau misal kata accused plead guilty, okay, pada masa pada masa trial. Okay, sebab tu kalau tengok appeal to the High Court, you boleh tengok part 7 appeal and revision, dia bermula daripada section 303A. You nampak kat situ appeal from session court dan juga magistrate court Kemudian cases in which no appeal lies adalah berkaitan dengan apa? No appeal shall lie from a judgment, sentence or order of a magistrate in the case of offence punishable with the fine of dah dinyatakan tadi. Okey. Kemudian ada kes kat situ yang berkaitan, saya rasa nanti boleh baca contoh dalam kes Muhammad Dalha bin Rizwan versus Datuk Bandar, Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur, Gopal Sri Ram, the famous judge, say that although the High Court has no appellate jurisdiction to hear an appeal against conviction by a guilty plea, it may exercise its revisionary power to set aside the conviction which is illegal. Contohnya, kalau tidak boleh ada appeal berkaitan dengan di bawah Section 305, it will not bar the parties to file a revision. Okay, maksudnya kalau tak boleh appeal, dia boleh file revision. Okay, it depending on the court. Okay, kemudian apa? You tengok juga Section 306 CPC. 306 adalah appeal against acquittal. Apa maksud dia? When accused person has been acquitted by the magistrate, there shall be no appeal except by or with the sanction in writing of the public prosecutor. Okay, itu di bawah Section 306. Lihat juga Section 307 berkaitan dengan procedure for appeal. Okay, procedure for appeal. Apakah prosedur-prosedur tersebut? Okay, apakah prosedur-prosedur tersebut? Then you have to read into Section 307, procedure of the appeal, yang mana dia menyatakan bahawa any person who is dissatisfied with any judgment, sentence or order pronounced by any magistrate court in a criminal case or matter to which he is the party may appeal to the High Court against that judgment, sentence or order. So kalau ada highlighter, boleh tolong highlightkan ya. So you kena lihat berkaitan ada beberapa kes yang memberi tafsiran berkaitan dengan ayat tersebut Contohnya the interpretation of the word any person has been provided under section under case of PP versus Radgard, and also public finance versus PP in which the person means must be a party to the criminal case, must be a party to the criminal case. So itu adalah yang dinyatakan di dalam kes tersebut. Jangan lupa juga berkaitan kes Malik bin Su and another versus PP, in which the Federal Court Judge Hashim Yopsani said that the order must be final order, as in the judgment or sentence, and the test is to see whether it is finally disposes of the rights of the parties. What does it mean? It must means that the court has functions official. Okay, ingat lagi tak functions official tu apa? Okay, pernah dengar tak functions official? Okay,
tak ingat sir.
Tak ingat? Aduh. Functions official ni maksudnya adalah court itu bersidang pada hari tersebut. Dia memulakan persidangan pukul 9 pagi, contoh. Dan dia mendengar kes. Kemudian dia akan membuat keputusan pada pukul 10 pagi sebagai contoh. So, adakah keputusan dia tu final? Nak lihat sama ada keputusan dia tu final ataupun tidak, you need to see whether the judge has functions official or not. Functions official maksudnya dia telah melaksanakan tugasan kehakiman dia. Okay? Dan pelaksanaan tugasan kehakiman adalah pada masa bila? Adakah judgement atau sentence boleh diubah? Jawapannya boleh. Kalau melibatkan typographical error. Tetapi tidak boleh diubah jika selepas functions official. Bila selepas functions official? Iaitu selepas pukul 5 petang. Maknanya selepas judge bersidang pada hari tersebut. Okay, which mean kalau semalam dia buat keputusan tersebut, hari ini dia tak boleh kata, oh saya buat kesilapan lah, saya kena ubah. You cannot, maknanya hakim tak boleh ubah. So functions official maksudnya melihat sama ada dah ada finality or not dalam keputusan tersebut. Kalau hakim belum buat keputusan ataupun hakim buat keputusan pada hari tersebut, maknanya appeal tidak boleh difailkan pada hari yang sama apabila keputusan tersebut dibuat. Okey, maknanya dia perlu dibuat pada sehari selepasnya. Okey, boleh tengok kes PP versus Raymond Chia tak? Okey, in which ini berkaitan dengan Section 51 ya. Kita ada bincang semalam ya, apa beza di antara SOSMA dengan High Court ya. Bukan semalam, 2 hari lepas ya. Dan kita membincangkan berkaitan dengan isu Section 51 dan 51A. Okey, berkaitan SOSMA, okey. Jadi bila berkaitan Section 51 ni apa maksud dia? Maksudnya order to produce not just document ya, tetapi any other evidence. Adakah dia appealable? Adakah kalau misal kata court tak bagi, adakah dia appealable? Okey. Adakah dia considered to be a final order? Okey. Jadi dalam kes PP versus Raymond Chia, court kata yes, Section 51 adalah final order and appealable under Section 307. Okey. Ini yang dinyatakan dalam kes PP versus Raymond Chia. Okey. Sebab court ada menyatakan perkara berikut. The word order is preceded by the word judgment. Okay, the word order is preceded by the word judgment. Maksudnya, perkataan order itu adalah perkataan yang wujud selepas perkataan judgment dalam Section 307. The order must therefore be a final order in the sense that it is final in its effect and in the case of judgment or a sentence. The case in determining the finality of an order is to see whether the judgment or order finally disposes of the right of the parties. Okay, so this is very important. So maksudnya apa? Apakah yang boleh dirayu? 1 adalah judgment. 2 adalah sentence. 3 adalah perintah. Okay. Apa yang boleh dirayu, you kena tengok di bawah Section 307. 1 adalah penghakiman ataupun judgment. 2 adalah penghukuman ataupun sentence. 3 adalah perintah. So 3 perkara ini adalah tertakluk kepada rayuan di bawah Section 307. Okay, di bawah Section 307. So you kena lihat dekat situ berkaitan Section, cuba tengok berkaitan Section 307 subsection 1. Subsection 1. Okay, procedure appeal adalah berkaitan dengan first apa? Judgment, sentence or order. Itu nombor 1. Nombor 2 apa? Towards any error in law or in facts. Nombor 2. Nombor 3, apa syarat dia? On the ground of alleged excessive severity. Nombor 3, 1, 2, 3. Okey, nombor 4, alleged inadequacy of any sentence. Okey, maksudnya dia ada syarat-syarat dia. Pertama, apa yang boleh di-appeal adalah judgment, sentence or order. Nombor 2 adalah apa? Jika melibatkan error in law. Nombor 3 melibatkan excessive severity of the sentence. Nombor 4 adalah inadequacy of any sentence. Dan nombor 5, you kena file benda tersebut dalam tempoh 14 hari from the time of judgment, sentence or order being passed. 14 days ya. You kena ingat ya, betul-betul 14 days. Dan itu subsection 1. Subsection 2, you may appeal using notice of appeal. Notice of appeal tersebut must contain address or any notices or any document connected with the appeal. Itu subsection 2. Subsection 3, the notice of appeal has been lodged to the court. Okay, appeal maksudnya perlu ada a ground of decision. This is very important. What is ground of decision? What is ground of decision? Okay, tak apalah. You nanti you akan buat dekat attachment kat court, is it? Okay, ground of decision adalah alasan penghakiman. Apa yang you all baca dalam MLJ, CLJ itu adalah alasan penghakiman. Okay, di samping ada sentencing, court akan buat alasan penghakiman ya. Alasan penghakiman ini sangat penting pada masa rayuan ataupun revision. Because what? Why is it so important? Kenapa ground of judgment is very important? Siapa boleh jawab soalan saya?
Sebab kita nak tengok apa error in law yang judge buat.
Yes, betul Atika. Atika, gambar handsome benar tu? Okey. Okey, maksudnya dekat sini adalah berkaitan dengan whether there is any error of law or how the court come into the decision to see whether there is any excessive severity or any inadequacy of sentence. Sebab itulah perlu ada grounds of decision ataupun ground of judgment. Okay, that will be attached together. Okay, so within 14 days under subsection 4, within 14 days after the copy of ground of decision has been served as provided under subsection 3, the appellant shall lodge with the clerk of the magistrate court a petition of appeal, triplicate address to the High Court. Maksudnya, kena notify magistrate court tersebut berkaitan our intention to appeal the matter to the High Court. Same goes kalau misal kata kita nak appeal berkaitan keputusan oleh session court, also kita kena bagi tahu kena bagi tahu kepada session court Triplicate tu maksudnya adalah kita kena buat 3 salinan lah. Itu maksud dia. Okay. Alright. Dan juga kalau subsection 5, kita kena pastikan bahawa juga dilampirkan bersama ground of kita kena minta ground ataupun notes of evidence, copy of the notes of evidence. So this is also very important. Okay, bila nak appeal, perkara yang pertama adalah you must satisfy 5 perkara dalam subsection 1. Kemudian it must within the time of 14 days. Okay, kemudian you kena notify mahkamah tinggi, dan kemudian you kena bagi tahu juga dengan mahkamah rendah, dan kemudian you kena ada juga copy of the notes of evidence. Perkara notes of evidence sekarang ni kebanyakan court telah menggunakan sistem sistem transcribing, electronic transcribe Maksudnya dia dalam keadaan audio visual yang dirakam. Okay. Apabila rakaman ini sama ada boleh ataupun tidak, you bawa je pita rakaman tu, boleh tak masuk dalam thumb drive, kasih dekat appellate court court akan minta you untuk transcribe, dan dia ada services for transcribers. Apa maksud transcribe? Maksudnya you kena ambil servis orang yang mendengar dan kemudian menaip kembali notes of evidence tersebut dalam bentuk hard copy. Okay, dalam bentuk hard copy ataupun soft copy So this is something which secara kata orang tu praktis sekarang ni dan kita pun dah ada beberapa sistem, contoh e-review, e-appeal, yang mana petition of appeal can be lodged electronically Alright. Okay. Okay. Ada soalan ke setakat ni? Is there any question? Alright, cuba tengok dia ada beberapa case kalau baca case-case tersebut, ada juga case berkaitan, cuba tengok PP versus Datuk Haji Wasli bin Haji Muhammad Said. Kalau case tersebut melibatkan the session court judge refuse to transfer the criminal case from Kota Kinabalu to Kuala Lumpur to High Court So as requested by the AG so whether it is something which appealable whether something which is appealable. So the High Court actually allowing the preliminary objection and dismissing the appeal held that the judgment, sentence or order must be a final order. So refuse to transfer case is not something which is a final order. Itu maksud dia. Right? Okay. So you can see under point 15.039, the process and procedure of an appeal to the High Court consists of the following. 1, filing of notice of appeal and stay of execution. This is very important. Kalau tidak nanti maknanya perkara tersebut akan terus berjalan. So you need to file stay of execution at the same time. Number 2, preparation of notes of evidence and ground of decision. Number 3, filing of petition of appeal. Number 4, transmission of appeal record from to the High Court and setting down for hearing. This is also very important for the High Court to come into their knowledge that you are actually filing an appeal. Okay, procedure at hearing and admissibility of the fresh evidence, decision on appeal, judgment and other matters. Okay, so when to file, telah saya bagi tahu tadi 14 days from the time of judgment. So apa maksud 14 days from the time of judgment, whether it is include or exclude public holiday? Okay, adakah 14 hari itu termasuk public holiday macam hari semalam, dikira ke tak dikira? Jawapan dia adalah dikira ke tidak?
Dikira.
Dikira ke tak dikira? Dikira ke tak dikira?
Kira.
Tak
Ha?
kira. Tak kira. Kot.
Jawapan dia tidak dikira. Maknanya akan dikira pada hari keesokan bekerja. Ini diputuskan dalam kes KFC versus Lembaga Bandaran Petaling Jaya. Okay. Alright. Okay. Lepas tu apa lagi ya? Apa tu? Dalam kes Anwar Osman motion by appellant by extension of time. Kalau misal kata dia adalah sesuatu yang mana more than 14 days, you need to file a leave first. Leave bukan cuti ya. Maksudnya file kebenaran untuk merayu oleh kerana you dah exceed 14 days ya. Jadi you kena justify ya. So in the case of Anwar bin Osman versus PP, a motion by applicant for extension of time to file the petition of appeal against his conviction, and the applicant has been served with ground of decision and notes of evidence. Nevertheless, appellant was unaware the procedures of the appellant. Pada masa tu 10 days ya. Jadi reason behind the delay adalah ignorance of the procedure and also insufficient fund to appoint solicitor. Okay. Dan prosecution submit bahawa the delay is more than 18 months. So it is something inordinate, but the appellant court accepted the ground given by the appellant as he was only the hawker license officer, and the application to file the petition of appeal of time was allowed. So maksudnya dalam kes Anwar Osman ni, mahkamah mengambil kira bahawa satu, dia tak ada peguam. Dua, daripada dia punya pekerjaan, dia adalah seorang bekerja di kedai makan ya. Jadi mahkamah mengambil kira walaupun dia lewat 18 bulan, okay, walaupun dia terlewat 18 bulan, tapi oleh kerana it is something which is justifiable oleh kerana ketidakmampuan dia untuk mengambil peguam. So dia tak tahu. Okay, so ini adalah sesuatu yang mahkamah terima dalam kes Anwar bin Osman, which is very interesting as well. Okay, form and content of appeal. Dia ada form and content of appeal ya. In which you need to see under section 3071 tadi telah dimaklumkan. You need to serve the notice of appeal. Whether the notice of appeal may be filed or served by use of fax. Boleh ke tak boleh? Okay, boleh rujuk PP versus Jawan, Anak Empaling and another. The court held that the fax copy of the petition is acceptable. Maksudnya kalau sekarang ni bukan setakat fax, email pun boleh sebab dia ada dia punya sistem di situ. Okay, you need to remember satu lagi adalah berkaitan dengan stay of execution pending appeal. This is very very important as I mentioned to you. Kalau misal kata the court has convicted you, court found you guilty and convicted you to the sentence and sentence you, katalah penjara 10 tahun dan sebatan 20 kali, contoh. So it is very important bila you nak appeal, you minta sekali stay of execution. Okay, kalau tidak nanti hukuman akan dijalankan sementara appeal berjalan. So nanti it does not serve any purpose. Okay, maksudnya you kena file sekali stay of execution pending appeal ya. You can see that under section 311. Stay of execution pending appeal. Cuba tengok section 311. Except in the case of sentence of whipping. Okay, the execution of which shall be stayed pending appeal. No appeal shall operate as a stay of execution but the court below or a judge may stay execution on any judgment, order, conviction or sentence on such terms as the security for payment of any money or the performance or non-performance of any act or the suffering of any punishment ordered. Maksudnya, court nak kata kat sini, stay pending appeal. Stay pending appeal ni apa? Adalah sesuatu yang perlu diminta ya. Yang perlu diminta. Sebab dia kata appeal tu secara automatik tidak akan menyebabkan execution to stay. You kena faham ya. Bila you nak file appeal, you tak minta stay of execution, ia tidak bermakna bila court tahu you nak appeal, court akan stay. It is not automatic. Okay, this is something that you need to remember. So nanti bila you nak filekan something, file for appeal, you must file as well bersekali stay of execution pending appeal. Okay, you can see that in a few cases yang dibincangkan, dan I think case Federal Court dalam kes Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim telah menyatakan laid down the factors to consider when granting a stay of execution after conviction. For example, the gravity or otherwise of the offence, the length of term imprisonment in comparison of the length of time which is likely to take for the appeal to be heard, whether there are difficult point of law involved, whether the accused is the first offender or has previous conviction, or whether the accused person would become involved again in another offence while at his liberty, and whether the security imposed will ensure the attendance of the applicant before the appellate court. Stay of execution ini very important. Kalau tidak, you akan dipenjarakan ataupun you akan disebat. Okay. Tapi kalau misal kata stay you dibenarkan, meaning that permohonan untuk stay of execution you dibenarkan. So what will happen to the appellant? Apa yang akan berlaku kepada appellant? Apa yang berlaku kepada perayu? Dibebaskan. Itu dah nak hampir betul tu. Tapi bila tak sambung yang belakang tu tak betul.
Dia tak menjalani hukuman.
Okey lah, dia tak menjalani hukuman. Jadi lepas tu apa yang berlaku pada dia? Adakah dia akan ditahan di dalam lock up, reman?
Tak, dia kat luar.
Dia kat luar? Apa proses tu?
Proses apa?
Apakah proses untuk dia dilepaskan tu?
Bail.
Bail. Yes, bail pending
Appeal.
Yes, bail pending appeal. Okay, ingat lagi kita belajar pasal bail. Bail bukan setakat bail semasa menunggu perbicaraan sahaja. Bail juga melibatkan bail pending appeal. Oh, semua dah terror ni semua ya. Okay, so tak apa. Boleh baca ya. Selanjutnya, so preparation of notes of evidence and ground of decision. Sila tengok ya, page 654 ya. Apakah yang perlu di-prepare? Dia perlu ada apa? Notes of evidence and ground of decision. Okay, this is very important ya. Lepas tu note of evidence itu apa? Whatever happened or transpired during the course of trial. What is ground of decision? Maknanya assign copy of ground decision by the judge and serve it by leaving it at the address mentioned in the notice of appeal or by registered post without unreasonable delay. So ini you boleh baca dalam page 654, 655 dan juga 656. 657, you have to file the matter within berapa hari? Berapa hari you nak kena file petition?
14 days.
14 days, yes. Ya. 657 ya, dia mengatakan situ 14 days notice. Okay, this is something that you need to remember as well. Filing ya. Form and content of petition appeal. You kena tengok ada form tak? Ada, iaitu form 51. Sila tengok section 307 subsection 6. Okay, substance. It is very important. Every petition of appeal must be in form 51 as provided in the second schedule to the CPC. Boleh baca kes Chin Chan Leong. Okay. Lepas tu apa? Time limit. Saya rasa time limit ni telah dinyatakan tadi ya, berkaitan. And 14 days tu may be something straightforward for you. Tapi kalau misal kata it is exceeding 14 days, boleh tak untuk extend? Ada kes berkaitan, contoh kes Vira Singham, Sundara Velu, kes Jumari bin Muhammad dan juga kes Ishak Haji Sya'ri. Alright. Kes Ishak Haji Sya'ri. Okay. Dan juga beberapa kes yang lain. Alright. Cuba lihat juga ya 15.087 ya dekat page 660. In the case of So Yi Choi versus PP, High Court dismissed the application to extend the time for filing the petition of appeal under section 312. Sebab High Court menyatakan bahawa section 3079. Cuba tengok section 3079. Dia menyatakan bahawa if a petition of appeal is not lodged within the time prescribed by this section, the appeal shall be deemed to have been withdrawn and the trial court shall enforce its sentence or order if any stay of execution has been granted, but nothing herein contained shall be deemed to limit or restrict the powers conferred by the judge, conferred upon the judge by section 310. Maksudnya apa? Court dalam kes Saw Yui Choi mengatakan bahawa section 3079 itu adalah strictly applied. Strictly applied, maknanya you need to observe that 14 days time frame. Okay, when a person retain a counsel to act for him under agency law, the act of his counsel are imputed to him. In order that substantial justice could be done in the matter, it would be necessary to adopt a stringent approach to accept the default of counsel as an excuse only when one could be absolutely certain that the applicant was completely free from blame. So, kebanyakan yang pergi kepada mahkamah untuk minta untuk membuat permohonan berkaitan exceeding 14 days, exceeding 14 days ni sebab dia mengatakan bahawa look, sebab saya tak ada duit untuk lantik peguam ataupun lambat peguam dilantik, so court mengatakan bahawa in order for the blameworthiness, it is clearly to see siapa punya kesalahan. Okay, kalau misal kata over 1 year had passed since he filed his appeal or more than 6 months since the ground of decision was supplied. So dia kata an onus to satisfy the court adalah melibatkan substantial justice. Substantial justice, and it is something which depending on the merits of the case. Okay. So oleh sebab itu session court ground of decision and notes of evidence tu, it is very important to see the merit in the appeal and whether the court rightly convicted. So meaning that juga melihat kepada merit of the case, merit of the case. Okay, alright. Ada apa-apa soalan? Kemudian you boleh tengok juga berkaitan transmission of appeal record to High Court. This is something which is administrative matter under section 308. Maksudnya when appellant has comply with section 307, dia kena transmit all the documentation kepada High Court, the record, and to the public prosecutor as well as to the lawyers of the appellant, a signed copy. So this is something which is very important, transmission of appeal record not just to the court tetapi kepada public prosecutor dan juga kepada peguam tersebut. Okay, isu berkaitan procedure at hearing and admissibility of fresh evidence. Whether during the appeal boleh ataupun tidak, the court menerima masuk something new ataupun fresh evidence. Ada dibincangkan dalam muka surat 662. Okay, the most important part during the hearing of an appeal adalah dinyatakan dalam section 313. Procedure at hearing. Maksudnya perlu ada kehadiran all the parties, all the parties, all the parties. Okay. Kalau if appellant does not appear to support his appeal, the court may consider his appeal and may make such order thereon as it thinks fit. Meaning that the court may refuse to consider the appeal lah. Kalau misal kata appellant tak hadir. Kalau respondent tak hadir, apa yang berlaku? If at the hearing of the appeal the respondent is not present, okay, and the court is not satisfied that the notice of appeal was duly served upon him, then the court shall not make any order in the matter of the appeal adverse to or to the prejudice of the respondent, but shall adjourn the hearing of the appeal to a future day for his appearance. So dia tak ada maksud judgment in default. Dia tak ada perkataan judgment on default. Dia tak ada istilah tersebut dalam appeal. Whatever it is, dia akan tunggu juga responden untuk hadir pada masa tersebut. Okay. Dan dia ada a few cases kat sini yang berkaitan perkara tersebut. Saya nak menarik perhatian you all kepada cuba kita tengok satu case muka surat 664 kes Hayati binti Aizan versus PP. Dalam kes ini appellant had pleaded guilty to a charge and was convicted under section 45A of the Road Transport Act. The sentence was stayed pending the appeal to the High Court made by her, and she was then admitted to bail upon her executing a bond undertaking to appear to the High Court. The appeal was called up on 5 occasions, on each which could not proceed as a notice of appeal could not be served on her. Subsequently, the public prosecutor applied for appeal to be dismissed, and the High Court actually dismissed the appeal. Okay, sebab dia mengatakan bahawa if in the case that the appellant who is out of the jurisdiction or who does not appear personally before the court in pursuant to a condition upon which he was admitted to bail, the court may refuse to consider the appeal or to make any such order except on such term as it thinks fit to impose. So maksudnya dalam kes ini pihak dia punya appeal telah pun di-dismiss oleh kerana beliau tidak hadir. Okay. So itu adalah kalau misal kata perayu. Kalau responden you boleh tengok page 665 dan berkaitan dengan saya tanya you all tadi, boleh tak during appeal, the appeal judge admitted something new. Okay, something new. For this particular situation, you boleh tengok page 666, admissibility of fresh evidence. If the judge thinks that additional evidence is necessary under section 3171. 3171, you need to remember admissibility of fresh evidence during the appeal hearing. You boleh refer section 3171. CPC empowers him either to take such evidence himself or direct it to be taken by a magistrate. If the additional evidence is taken by a magistrate, he must certify such evidence to the High Court, who shall then proceed to dispose the appeal as soon as possible. Maknanya boleh tak boleh? Okay, maknanya it is a discretion of the judge. Dan dalam kes PP versus Muhammad Jamal, Federal Court quoted with approval 4 conditions laid down in the case of R versus Parks for fresh evidence to be admitted at the hearing. First, whether the evidence that is sought to call must be evidence which was not available at the trial. This is very important. Dia adalah sesuatu yang tidak dikemukakan ataupun tidak ada semasa perbicaraan mula-mula. Number 2, it must be evident relevant to the issues. Fresh evidence ni mestilah sesuatu yang relevant to the issues. Nombor 3, it must be evidence which is credible evidence in the sense that it is well capable of belief. And lastly, the court will, after considering that evidence, go on to consider whether there might have been reasonable doubt in the mind of the jury as to the guilt of the appellant if that evidence had been given together with other evidence at the trial. Okay. Dan you boleh tengok berkaitan kes Dol bin Lasim versus PP. Di mana dalam kes ni prosecution appeal against the order of the acquittal to the High Court which allow additional evidence to be admitted by calling for a demonstration by a chemist who was not cross-examined and whose evidence was unsworn. So Supreme Court criticized the manner in High Court allowed the fresh evidence. Sebab court mengatakan bahawa yes, you boleh admit the evidence, but it must be something which is not, kata orang, something which is against the procedures. Okay, sebab kalau kita dapat lihat kat sini, court menyatakan bahawa it is the paramount duty of the court to see that in the last resort justice is done and any miscarriage of justice rectified. Okay, in view of the fact that the learned judge came to his conclusion as a result of demonstration given by the chemist, we cannot say that he was influenced by this additional evidence, which was not shown shown to be necessary and also improperly admitted. Okay, so ini you boleh lihat juga dalam kes Dol bin Lasim. Okay, kemudian apa lagi berkaitan decision on appeal, kita boleh lihat bahawa appellate court should rarely interfere with the conclusion of the trial judge. Ini berdasarkan kepada kes Chia Han Kiat. Kemudian apa lagi yang you nak kena tahu ya berkaitan ini, you boleh lihat juga berkaitan dengan order to take further evidence 317, judgment 318 on the termination of the hearing, the appeal judge shall either at once or on some further day, which shall either then be appointed for the purpose of such notice, shall subsequently be given the parties deliver judgment. Okay, judgment taklah diberikan. Judgment on appeal ni perlu diberikan di bawah section 318. Okay. 319, certificate and consequence of judgment. Kemudian what happen kalau either one party pass away. Okay, so section 320 menyatakan bahawa every appeal shall finally abate on the death of the accused person and every other appeal under this chapter, okay, shall be finally abate on the death of the applicant. Okay, maksudnya appeal itu akan tergugur dengan sendirinya kecuali dalam kes-kes melibatkan denda, sebab denda boleh dibayar denda boleh dibayar oleh orang lain. Alright. Okay. Ada apa-apa soalan yang nak ditanya? You boleh baca. Ya.
Yang section ni kan daripada magistrate ke high court kan sir?
Ya saya.
Kalau daripada high court ke court appeal ataupun court appeal ke federal, sama juga ke dia punya prosedur dan pakai section yang sama ke?
Okay. Soalan tu satu soalan yang menarik dan soalan yang bagus. Kalau tengok muka surat 675. 675, if let's say that you want to appeal to the Court of Appeal, so the procedures tu adalah ikut prosedur mana ya? Okay, jadi dia punya substantive law adalah pada satu Federal Constitution, Article 121. Dua adalah Court of Judicature Act, Section 50. Okay, Section 50. Prosedur dia pergi cari kat mana ya? Agak-agak kat mana? Siapa tahu? Dia ada rules of Court of Appeal. Okay. Dia ada rules of Court of Appeal tapi untuk civil matter. Untuk civil matter. Kalau misalkan untuk criminal matter, you boleh lihat section 50. Okay. Section 50 ya. Di mana section 50 CJA ada menyatakan berkaitan keputusan yang hendak dirayu kepada Mahkamah Rayuan adalah keputusan yang dimulakan di Mahkamah Tinggi. Bukan dimulakan ya. Maknanya keputusan itu dah bermula daripada Mahkamah Tinggi. Okay. Lepas tu decision tersebut adalah decision of the High Court made in its act. Maksudnya Court of Appeal boleh dengar berapa jenis appeal. Dia boleh dengar 2 jenis appeal yang besar under section 50. Satu appeal adalah from the High Court from its original jurisdiction or from the High Court from its appellate jurisdiction. Maksudnya it's either if the case originated from the High Court or the appeal was from the High Court. Okay, itu under section 50. Case nombor 2, the Court of Appeal boleh dengar case daripada High Court. Okay, in exercising its appellate or revisionary jurisdiction in respect of criminal matter decided by the magistrate court. Okay, maksudnya kalau dapat kat sini dari magistrate naik ke High Court kemudian naik ke Court of Appeal. Dan untuk jawab soalan you tadi Atika, akta mana yang terpakai adalah di bawah section 50 Court of Judicature Act CJA 1964. You boleh lihat daripada muka surat 675 dan ke atas. Alright. So dia ada menyatakan dekat sini ya.
Doktor.
Ya.
Maksudnya tadi kena melalui High Court dulu baru boleh pergi dekat Court of Appeal.
Ya saya. Dia tidak boleh lompat.
Oh.
The
Sebab
matter
saya
tu, sebab contoh ya, kalau dapat tengok section 50 tu adalah dia menyatakan macam ini. Dalam apa keadaan di mana kes tu boleh pergi kepada Mahkamah Rayuan? Dia ada 2 keadaan. Satu keadaan adalah kalau daripada High Court on its original jurisdiction. 2 kalau daripada High Court on the appellate or revisionary jurisdiction. If the matter come up from the session court. Maksudnya nak pergi ke Court of Appeal kenalah daripada High Court ataupun nak pergi ke Court of Appeal boleh pergi daripada Session Court ke High Court dan kemudian ke Court of Appeal. Dia tak boleh tiba-tiba daripada Magistrate ataupun Session naik ke Court of Appeal tanpa melalui High Court. Boleh?
faham sir.
Alright, itu under section 50 ya. Dan yang lain tu saya rasa you boleh baca nanti ya berkaitan isu tersebut ya di bawah muka surat 675, 676, 677. Kita akan bincang kes ini semua di dalam tutorial ya minggu hadapan ya. Kita akan start sentencing minggu depan dan kemudian saya harap nanti kita boleh settle lah ya sebelum you punya exam. Okay. Apa lagi? The process and the procedures of Court of Appeal adalah similar dengan High Court tadi ya. You boleh tengok page 677, filing of notice of appeal, ground of decision, filing of petition of appeal, transmission, record of appeal and so on and so forth. Is there any time limit untuk file benda ini di Court of Appeal? Kalau ada, berapa hari? Siapa boleh tolong saya? Berapa hari? How many days you want to file the matter to Court of Appeal? Dia nak test ni sama ada you berada ataupun tidak di hadapan you itu buku teks you.
14.
14 hari. Section berapa?
Section 51/1 Code of Judicature Act.
Yes, tahniah Husna dengan Alia walaupun bersama-sama berduet untuk menjawab soalan ya. Okey, betul ya. Filing of notice of appeal ya. You kena ingat when it comes to High Court, sila rujuk section CPC ya, bermula daripada section 303A sampai section 322. Okey. Oh, saya tak sentuh cost. Okey, maksudnya cost itu adalah cost yang mana sesuatu yang akan ditetapkan oleh pihak mahkamah ya, berkaitan appeal. Kalau appeal kepada Court of Appeal, rujuk section 50 of CJA. 50, 51, 52, 51 adalah prosedur, 52 adalah filing notice of appeal. 51 adalah prosedur termasuk filing of notice. 52 adalah ground of decision. 53 adalah filing of petition of appeal. Apa beza notice dengan petition of appeal? Siapa boleh siapa tahu? Apa beza filing notice of appeal dengan filing petition of appeal? Apa beza dia? Deng dereng. Deng dereng, deng dereng. Siapa tahu? Apa beza filing of notice of appeal dengan filing of petition of appeal? Lepas tu, filing notice of appeal tu 14 days. Filing petition of appeal tu 10 days. Apa pula beza dia ya? Siapa tahu? Siapa agak-agak boleh bantu saya? Adakah saya perlu memanggil mana-mana nama? Oh, ramai pula kat sini nak panggil lah. Siapa tahu?
Petition tu, ni saya rasa lah. Petition,
Jangan guna perkataan rasa.
petition itu adalah
Pada pendapat saya.
Pada pendapat saya,
Ya.
petition itu petition kepada court oleh appellant untuk dia buat appeal. Kalau notice tu adalah notice yang dikeluarkan oleh registrar mengenai ground of decision masa High Court hari tu.
Ya ke? Betul ke tu? Tapi tak apalah, bagus cubaan tu. Husna berani mencuba. Okey, ada siapa-siapa nak membantu? Ashraf senyap je pagi ni Ashraf.
Ya doktor.
Senyap je. Janganlah senyap. Cuba teka. Apa beza filing notice of appeal dengan petition of appeal?
Dia punya isi kandungan, sir.
Oh, menarik ni Atika. Macam mana? Apa maksud isi kandungan dia?
Sebab kalau petition, kalau ikut 53 clause 2 tu dia kata matters of law. Kalau notice, the substance of the judgment. Okey,
dia dah nak betul tu. Dia memang kalau per 10 tu memang saya bagi 6 atau 7 lah tu. Okey, maksudnya apa yang Atika cakap tadi adalah notice of appeal adalah notice yang mana to tell everybody that you are actually filing a notice of appeal against High Court decision. Okay. Maksudnya it will contain the notice of that particular appeal lah, which include the judgment of the court and so on and so forth. Okay. Itu adalah notice. To notify the parties that you are actually lodged an appeal to Court of Appeal. Okay. Because you dissatisfied with the High Court decision. Petition of appeal adalah after you file your notice of appeal. You file notice of appeal dulu, baru you file petition of appeal. Petition ni adalah berkaitan 5 copies of petition of appeal berdasarkan kepada rule 65 rules of court, iaitu perlu adanya the documentation and also substance of law. Okay, substance of law. Kenapa you file petition of appeal tersebut? Itu yang beza dia. Sebab you kena faham ya, notice of appeal 14 days after the date of decision. Okay, 14 days after the date of decision of the High Court, you file notice of appeal. Kalau petition of appeal, you must file within 10 days after service of notice of appeal. This is something yang you kena ingat ya. Meaning that you nak appeal, you file notice dulu. Dan kemudian dalam tempoh 10 days tu, you kena file petition of appeal. Alright? Sebab itu lawyers kena cepat. Lawyers kena cepat. Sebab Court of Appeal, bila you appeal this matter to Court of Appeal dengan Federal Court, kalau you tengok dalam LinkedIn kan, kawan-kawan ataupun senior you kan, memang dahsyat gila lah. Itu kira dah tahap karma. tahap memang dah tahap tahap dewa lah katakan. Dia lawyer yang buat kes sampai Court of Appeal. Sebenarnya tak ada apa pun sebab dia ikut prosedur je sebenarnya. Tapi sebab gah tu kan, file the matter to Court of Appeal. Okay. Jadi itu yang dimaksudkan di bawah section 53 filing petition of appeal. Transmission Court of Appeal. Transmission of record of appeal adalah transmission of record. All the record di bawah section 55 ya. Okay. Lepas tu apa? Hearing boleh ataupun tak Court of Appeal accept any fresh evidence. Secara general principle tidak boleh ya. Tetapi on 4 condition. Ini dia merujuk kepada kes Muhammad bin Jamal tadi ya. Yang saya dah yang kita boleh lihat tadi ya, Muhammad bin Jamal ni kes whether or not fresh evidence can be admitted. Muhammad bin Jamal punya kes adalah satu kes yang diikuti juga oleh mahkamah rayuan ya. Nanti boleh tengok ada 4 principle tadi untuk fresh evidence to be admitted. What are further powers of Court of Appeal? Ini ni kalau keluar soalan ni payah juga nak kena hafal kan sebab tak ada dalam CPC ya. Okay. So powers Court of Appeal you boleh tengok dalam section 60. Court of Appeal may confirm, may reverse, may vary the decision of the High Court or order for retrial with its opinion to remit the matter to trial court or make any other order its things fit. Okay. Or just. Okay. Kemudian boleh tengok juga berkaitan dengan ada few cases kat situ yang membincangkan tentang kuasa-kuasa mahkamah rayuan semasa mendengar kes rayuan dan salah satu isu yang saya dibangkitkan tadi adalah isu berkaitan dengan kuasa ya. Judgment Court of Appeal meaning that at the end of hearing of appeal, the Court of Appeal shall deliver judgment in an open court at once on some further day. It depending on the day dan sebagainya. Okay. Ini pun you boleh baca berkaitan keputusan-keputusan yang mana mahkamah rayuan boleh buat. Okay. Last kali adalah appeal to the Federal Court. Appeal to the Federal Court you must remember under section 86 of CJA. 86 of Court of Judicature Act 1964. Okay, yang mana rayuan kepada rayuan kepada Mahkamah Persekutuan, okay, the appeal to the Federal Court, okay, is only maknanya provide that the Federal Court shall have the same appellate jurisdiction and may exercise the same powers as exercised by Court of Appeal. Okay, and for capital offences where the trial is in the High Court, there is a 2-tiered system of appeal. This is something that you need to remember. Okay. For capital offences where the trial is in the High Court, there is 2-tiered system of appeal. First from High Court to Court of Appeal and from Court of Appeal to the Federal Court. Okay. And the word decision under section 87 include any judgment, sentence or order. And the order must be a final order as in the case of An Jing Lee. Okay. And matter that can be appealed in the Federal Court may lie upon the question of law and facts or mix between facts and law. In addition, the Federal Court may grant bail pending appeal against acquittal and against conviction. And the process and the procedures adalah dinyatakan di dalam bahagian 15.177 muka surat 654. Okay, filing of notice of appeal lebih kurang sama 14 hari. Filing of the petition of appeal pun 10 hari. Tapi you kena lihat ya, dia di bawah peruntukan yang berbeza. Filing notice of appeal adalah di bawah section 87 of Court of Judicature Act. Filing of petition of appeal adalah di bawah Rule 95 dan tempohnya adalah 10 hari. Filing of the notice of appeal adalah 14 hari di bawah section 87 dan yang lain-lain adalah hampir sama dengan Mahkamah Rayuan. Apa kuasa yang boleh dibuat oleh Mahkamah Persekutuan? Mahkamah Persekutuan boleh buat apa? Dia sama ada boleh vary, dia boleh reverse. Itu adalah sama. Apa yang hearing of the fresh evidence pun dia lebih kurang sama dalam kes Muhammad Jamal, 4 condition tu yang di refer kepada R versus Parks. Dan juga judgement itu adalah sesuatu yang finality dan immediately ataupun some other date. Right? Okay. Ada apa-apa soalan? Boleh dengar saya? Alright, okay, ya. Yeah.
Saya nak tanya. Apa yang kau tengok masa diorang exercise reversionary tu sama ke dengan dalam appeal?
Oh, okay. Sama ke tak sama? Okay. Untuk melihat sama ada sama ataupun tak sama, satu adalah tadi you boleh tengok pada masa kita bincang mula-mula tadi ada dua perbezaan antara appeal dengan revision. Betul? Betul tak? Cuba tengok tadi yang pertama. Dia Baljit Singh ni dia dah letak kat situ ada distinction between appeal and revision. Appeal adalah apa? The court examine the evidence and comes to an independent finding. Revision adalah apa? Untuk lihat law and procedure. Ini you kena ingat betul-betul. Maksudnya appeal ni akan melihat kepada substance, excessive or not, based on the finding. Ada ataupun tidak perkara tersebut kira against the public interest ataupun against the the rights of the accused person. Okay? Sebab tu saya bagi tahu you tadi, bila in terms of appeal, court will be slow to disturb or to interfere unless it is manifestly wrong in the sense of being illegal. Sebab tu court lihat the law apply in the issue of the facts. Adakah dia something yang manifestly wrong. Okay, itu appeal. Revision dia melihat you ikut ke tidak prosedur dalam CPC. Adakah you ikut atau tidak prosedur dalam CPC? Adakah you ikut ataupun tidak pada masa conduct of proceeding tu? You give or not opportunity to the accused person to choose either 3 options when the defense call. Okay? Maksudnya, appeal lihat kepada substance of keputusan. Revision melihat kepada sama ada the procedural law has been complied with or not. You boleh lihat dalam Federal Court Powers to Review. Ini pun salah satu matter dalam menjelaskan jawapan you, menjelaskan soalan you tadi sama ada what is the difference between appeal dengan revision. Revision yang dibuat oleh Mahkamah Persekutuan adalah melibatkan apa? It is something which is inherent powers yang mana akan hanya di-invoke dalam kes melibatkan lack of fairness or injustice caused to the applicant by the evidence and the abuse of process of court in convicting and sentencing the applicant. Ini adalah pada point 15.188. Maksudnya, adakah proses itu di bawah CPC dipatuhi pada masa trial? Okay. Adakah OKT diberikan fairness and justice, right to be heard, audi alteram partem, right to be heard, ada ataupun tidak? Okay. Adakah di comply dengan section 51 dengan 51A? Itu revision. Tapi kalau appeal, something which is substance to the case, whether the sentencing is manifestly excessive. Okay. Adakah oleh kerana dia ni sebenarnya hanya dituduh melakukan kesalahan, katalah kesalahan tersebut adalah kesalahan section 323. tetapi yang kecederaan tidak menggunakan senjata, tetapi hukuman dia adalah adalah berat, sedangkan dia adalah first time offender, dia tak ada rekod jenayah. Okay, so hakim akan lihat whether it is manifestly excessive, maksudnya content and substance of that sentencing. Itu appeal. When it comes to revision, dia melihat kepada whether the rules under the CPC and the rules of evidence has been complied with or not. Okay, ini dua perkara yang berbeza. Boleh? Adakah saya menjawab soalan? Boleh tak?
Boleh sir.
Alright, okay.
Sir,
Ya, saya.
macam mana pula dengan power of review and revision, benda tu sama atau berbeza?
Power of review dengan revision tu adalah dua benda yang sama. Review, revision.
Lepas tu kenapa dalam buku Majlis ini dia cakap only the High Court is given the power of revision?
Power of revision ke power of supervision?
Power of revision, CGA section 311 chapter 10.
Dekat mana? Dekat mana you jumpa tu?
Sekejap. Betul-betul. Saya refer buku lain daripada orang lain. Sorry,
Okay. Sebab dapat lihat kat sini, sebab power of revision tu memang semua court boleh akan laksanakan. Power of supervision tu adalah pada high court. Tapi supervision, apa yang dimaksudkan supervision tu? Di bawah section 35. Supervision towards the subordinate court. Okay. Supervision towards the subordinate court. Power of revision bagi federal court adalah power to review all cases daripada high court dan juga daripada court of appeal. Okay. Alright. Ada soalan lain? Ada apa-apa soalan lain? Ada apa-apa nak tanya? So semua okey?
Okay.
Alright, okay. Kalau okey, maknanya sampai di sini saja kita punya lecture CPC. So kita akan jumpa minggu depan ya. Right? Thank you. Stay safe. Semua assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Doktor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Doktor.